Captain's log. While exploring an uncharted star system in the Deneb sector, we received what we think is a message from a distress beacon on Onias 2. We're en route to investigate.
That was short and sweet. There's only one real entry we need to look at. Well, not need, but you know what I mean.
Onias 2, a Class M planet in a system consisting of 3 unformed planets. Because of the high level of micrometeorite activity in the system, it is unusual for a Class M planet to exist. The planet is not inhabited and is not scheduled for colonization.
And while we're here,
Trelane, also known as the Squire of Gothas, an entity posing as a self-styled retired human general of 19th century Earth, in actuality, a naughty child of an extremely powerful alien race. His attempt to commandeer the USS Enterprise was foiled by Captain James Kirk and by the intervention of Trelane's parents, who took him away, presumably to another dimension, for punishment.
okay, let's head to Onias 2.
Approaching Onias 2, Captain.
It may be nothing, Captain, but a scan of the planet's atmosphere indicates a high concentration of rare gases trapped in the planet's magnetosphere. Atmospheric disturbances could produce random radio waves.
It wouldn't be the first time, Mr. Spock, but we'll never be able to tell if we don't check it out. After all, to seek out new life and new civilizations is our mission, to boldly go where no man has gone before.
A split infinitive, Captain.
What?
The proper grammatical expression is to go boldly where no man has gone before.
Somehow, I think it loses a little in the translation.
Entering standard orbit.
Fascinating, Captain. Sensors indicate only 2 faint life forms. It is difficult to distinguish, given the discharges in the planet's magnetosphere. It is, however, safe to transport to the planet's surface.
No signal from the planet other than the distress beacon, sir.
This is pretty straightforward so far.
Captain, our sensors will not be particularly useful to you while you're down there, and communications may be erratic, sir.
We'll be fine, Lieutenant. What reason is there to worry?
I'm afraid, Captain, there are plenty of precedents. We'll be here if you need us.
I have no doubt of that.
I have tracked the signal to its source. It is near the life forms. The rest of the planet is quite desolate. No sign of life or technology. The atmosphere is thin, but breathable. And I detect numerous micrometeorite hits.
There are 3 unformed planets in this system. It's no wonder. There are so many micrometeorites. I'm surprised any Class M planet hasn't been pulverized by now.
It is not inconceivable, but it is certainly unusual.
Let's do it, Spock. You, McCoy, and I. Oh, and tell Bones to see if a genetic specialist's available. If there are only 2 life forms, we might be privileged to see life at its earliest stages.
On a skeleton after the vultures have picked it clean.
A fascinating analogy, Doctor. Captain, the locus of the distress signal is in that building.
I think the doctor is right. Anything good here died a long time ago. It feels creepy to me.
Thank you for that opinion, Mr. Johns. I'll be certain to use creepy in my log entry about this.
They're still mixing up the away teams a little bit. And we still have our 3 main characters.
Ensign Johns looks around nervously and mutters under his breath.
We've only had 1 red shirt so far, and he wasn't even a member of our own crew.
Spock frowns slightly as if distracted by your scrutiny. James T. Kirk, as always, appears fit, alert, and ready for the challenges of the universe. Dr. Leonard McCoy appears uneasy on this inhospitable world. The doorway is unobstructed and appears normal, except that it is taller and slightly more narrow than a terrestrial doorway. The building, which is old and pitted with micrometeorite strikes, appears ancient, and if built by humanoids, was created for tall individuals. The dry, dusty red dirt cakes your boots in a thin patina that will be difficult to brush off. A natural tower of rocks, apparently volcanic.
It strikes me as unlikely, Captain, that this world is capable of sustaining the society and culture needed to generate the distress signals we have been receiving from here.
Forgive me for saying so, sir, but this place is pitiful.
A magnificent desolation. Reminds me of a summer I spent on Mars climbing Olympus Mons.
You're kidding, right?
Well, I think I've finally found something I dislike more than having my molecules scrambled. This world.
Bones, stop complaining. There's nothing wrong with this place aside from a little dust.
My readings indicate that a force field was here until very recently. As improbable as it might seem, I am getting multiple life form readings from inside this building. The vast majority of the water on this world is trapped within the rocks beneath the ground. It is unlikely that it could be harvested commercially because of the amount of energy it would take to free it. The world is quite normal, though the rocks are rather sparse in silicates. The planet is habitable, but unsuitable for colonization. A form of granite, Captain, primarily composed of potash feldspar.
I tell you, Jim, if I could get my operating room as sterile as this planet, I'd be overjoyed.
Before we go inside the building, let's do some scouting outside.
An antenna. I wonder what it was meant for.
That's what we're here to find out, Mr. Johns.
Spock looks around, apparently at ease in these surroundings. James T. Kirk squints against the harsh sunlight on the surface of this world. Ensign Johns appears bored by the desolate surroundings. Dr. Leonard McCoy rubs at his eyes as a little dust blows up. A large crevice in the rock. Unlike the rocks surrounding it, the sensor array dish looks fairly new. The control mechanism for the array.
Aside from this sensor array, there is nothing unexpected here.
Not quite a picnic spot, but it has its charm. What do you think, Bones?
With the thin atmosphere, Sunblock 187 would be nice.
I hope they didn't pay the landscapers very many credits for this work.
You know, Jim, this is not the kind of place to inspire homesickness.
The array appears to have deployed recently, which explains its lack of damage. The focal point of the dish is aligned approximately 35 degrees above the horizon. This appears to be similar to Federation technology, Captain. Its control principles are similar to the Medaille sensor dish on Vulcan. It has locked the array at a 35-degree angle. Without knowledge of the code control sequence, I cannot adjust it. I also detect that its power core is not functioning. It operates on geothermal energy, tapping into heat from the ground below.
So, we need to tap the geothermal energy.
This appears to be the most accessible spot to heat the rocks below the ground and generate geothermal energy for the array.
Now there's another one of those slightly deceiving spots in the scenery, where this rock here actually has two different spots on it.
This appears to be the most accessible spot.
Okay.
Volcanic in origin, these rocks have been here for a long time. A large crevice going deep into this planet's surface.
And that's what we need, the crevice, because as we attempt to heat up the rock here,
The energy level is insufficient, Captain. We cannot generate the energy level needed to provide geothermal energy with hand phasers.
If If it's thermal energy you want, Jim, I remember this planet that used a starship's phasers on a microwave setting to heat the surrounding rock to provide temporary power.
An interesting observation, Doctor. We could use the same technique here, but the beam would have to be extremely precise. If we targeted the wrong section, we could melt the rock and destroy the array.
Kirk to Enterprise. Sulu, can you read me?
Sulu here, Captain. How can I help you?
The Enterprise should broadcast a low-level microwave beam at the coordinates I am sending.
We have them, Mr. Spock. Get ready. Stand away from the blast area.
Stand by, ready for weapons position.
Sending microwaves now.
Temperature near the power coupling is rising rapidly. I estimate a below-ground temperature of 345 degrees Kelvin is required to reactivate the array. It is at 320, 330, 335, 340, 345, 350.
Shut off the beam, Mr. Sulu.
Affirmative, Captain.
The array is now drawing power. We were successful. Captain, the parameters of this sensor have been preset. I suggest we do not change them unnecessarily.
Our work is done here. But let's check out the next part of the scenery. And we have another antenna. And hopefully the geothermal energy is what's caused this to work.
James T. Kirk runs a strong hand over his smooth chin and studies his surroundings like a general surveying a battlefield. Dr. Leonard McCoy frowns as sweat forms on his upper lip. Spock ignores you as his restless gaze darts from feature to feature of the landscape. Ensign Johns appears unenthused by the surroundings.
Yeah, it's not exactly looking very scenic.
In sharp contrast to the surrounding stones, the array glitters unblemished by the surroundings. The control mechanism for the array. Harsh winds and meteorite strikes have sorely weathered these ancient rocks.
Kind of reminds me of a Klingon penal colony, don't you think?
I think I would just as soon avoid the research needed to make that judgment, sir.
Someone once tried to talk me into buying a retirement villa on a world like this. It was a bargain.
Small wonder that.
This array is clear evidence of an ongoing alien interest in this world.
Someone selling ice water here would make a fortune.
Captain, the controls indicate the device is aligned at an angle approximately 35 degrees above the horizon. There appears to be some sort of anomaly in the control program that has misaligned the controls, but my tricorder is unable to determine it. Without a method of determining the proper angle, I'm afraid I cannot realign the dish.
There is one way we can determine it.
Scotty, I need a calculation from the main computer.
While I know the computers on the Enterprise aren't quite as good as her engines, I think she'll manage.
I am sending the problem.
Ugh, that was too easy, Mr. Spock. The angle is 32.5 degrees.
Thank you, Mr. Scott.
So is there anything else you need, Captain?
Not now, Scotty. Kirk out.
I am now attempting to realign the device to 32.5 degrees. It should now be correctly aligned.
And that's that. We're done here. I don't think we have to actually do anything here, but we'll just check it out even though it's pretty much the same environment.
James T. Kirk seems not to notice as a little sweat trickles down the side of his face. Spock's gaze darts quickly between features, doubtless cataloging them for a later report. Ensign John's irritated expression suggests frustration or a pebble in his boot. Dr. Leonard McCoy looks around as if desirous of a soft place to sit down.
The peacefulness of this planet is a nice change, isn't it, Mr. Spock?
Somewhat like the meditation grounds on Vulcan, Captain.
After our encounter with the Alasi, the Vardane, and their replica of the Enterprise, I can appreciate a few less stressful missions.
True, Captain. As long as you do not lower your guard, there is always the potential for danger. The array appears to be in similar condition to the others we have seen.
This is definitely the kind of place you want to be from, not heading to.
The difference between this place and hell is flames.
You overlook one other difference, Mr. Johns. As your author Mark Twain said, heaven for the climate, hell for the company. The array appears to have deployed recently, which explains its lack of damage. This array appears focused on a point approximately 35 degrees above the horizon. Captain, the parameters of this sensor have been preset. I suggest we do not change them unnecessarily. This appears to be similar to Federation technology, Captain. Its control principles are similar to the Medaille sensor dish on Vulcan. It has locked the array at a 35-degree angle. Without knowledge of the code control sequence, I cannot adjust it.
Okay, let's head back to the building.
Well, I have to hand it to whoever built this place. All this equipment looks brand new and in good repair.
Let's hope the Enterprise looks this good when it's this old.
We should be very careful about how we proceed, Captain. I have a strange feeling that evil is lurking nearby.
Evil, Ensign?
Something that wants to imperil our souls, sir. We must avoid that at all costs.
Oh, God, no.
Aside from minor differences in styling, this looks remarkably like a Tellarite 8000 DNA sequencer. If not for a thin covering of red dust, you would assume this DNA replicator had just been unboxed and set up. A door leading to another room.
This appears to be a patch of rust and dust that has accumulated on the machine's surface.
Dr. Leonard McCoy smiles as he is confronted with a familiar environment. James T. Kirk, as always, appears fit, alert, and ready for the challenges of the universe. Ensign Johns wears his surprise at the surroundings transparently on his face. Spock raises an eyebrow as he surveys the room.
This DNA sequencer appears to be nearly 50,000 years old, yet it has not broken down and appears to be fully powered. Aside from some dust and dirt and a small chemical deposit on the intake nozzle, this DNA replicator appears to be in the same condition that it was 50,000 years ago. There are life form readings just to the east and west of this room. Readings indicate that along with oxidation and dust, there is some organic residue in the crust-like buildup.
I'm just a simple country doctor, not a magician. There are some things I just can't fix.
Oh. Okay, I was just asking you to scan it.
A unique use of a phaser, but adequate for removing the deposits from the apparatus.
Okay, so we have life forms east and west. Let's go east.
Greetings, gentle beings, and welcome. I am Azra of the Omegan people. You are the salvation we have long sought. Thank you for answering our summons.
An angel!
Actually, it is the projected image of an angel, Mr. Johns.
Jim, somewhere in that machine behind the porthole are single-cell organisms. They have a healthy metabolism and long lifespan, but an extremely low rate of reproduction.
Okay.
Ensign Johns appears transfixed by the apparition that manifests in this room. Dr. Leonard McCoy looks intrigued by this new area to explore. Spock's face displays no emotions. James T. Kirk scrutinizes the room, his thoughts rushing along at breakneck pace. The computer console has a conventional keyboard which is covered by odd symbols you do not immediately recognize. A large alien computer. The thick glass window and the light coming from it make it difficult to see beyond it, though you get the impression of a living plasma swirling behind it. The golden projection gives you a clear view of a lithe, sprightly figure of great beauty. Compassionate intelligence shines from its wide eyes.
We need to do everything we can to preserve the lives of these angelic creatures.
This device contains genetic soup, Jim. Amino acids, proteins, the stuff of life itself.
This machine is a genetic bank, Captain. I suspect that the projection acts as a fail-safe mechanism that will surrender samples of the genetic code for sequencing and replication when the mechanism is willing.
This reminds me of the first time I saw them cloning Amoslovs at the Academy. It seemed like magic at the time, the fetuses growing into embryos, then developing into infants.
Life is a miracle, Captain.
Oh, no.
The computer is functional, but I detect no connection between the keyboard and the machine itself. Apparently, it was designed this way. Energy levels behind this glass are more than sufficient for having powered the distress signal we received. This projection is being cycled at 1,000 frames a second, which suggests the equipment was designed to function in the presence of a race that has a sharper visual acuity than the human or Vulcan races.
I'm just a simple country doctor, not a magician. There are some things I just can't fix. The enclosure behind this porthole is teeming with life. Billions and billions of creatures. There's something wrong with the piece of this genetic code that controls reproduction. I've never seen such a low reproductive rate in an organism that's this simple. Whatever he is, he's not alive. I get no readings at all from him.
So where's the emergency? Greetings, I am James T. Kirk of the USS Enterprise. What can we do for you? All right, I know you're just a projection. Let's speak with your real masters. Greetings, I am James T. Kirk of the USS Enterprise. What can we do for you?
Even though this is just a projection, it still seems fairly sentient. And it's a new life form, so we should really be courteous.
I am Azra of the Omegan people, an ancient and venerable race which labors to prevent the domination of this world by the forces of darkness. We require you to expunge this place of our mortal enemies.
Captain, the most worthwhile purpose in life is to fight against the forces of darkness. We must help him.
Enemies? This world is so barren that all the life on it is located right here. If you have mortal enemies, we've not seen them. Who are you talking about? Our prime directive prohibits us from taking part in wars on one side or the other. It would be seen as intervention. We are willing to negotiate a compromise. You will forgive me if I don't fall for a pretty face. I'm not about to expunge anyone. And I will take no action until I've heard both sides of the story. Enemies? This world is so barren that all the life on it is located right here. If you have mortal enemies, we've not seen them. Who are you talking about?
I speak of the Alphans, of course. They are foul, cold creatures who pervert even the most sacred ideas. They cling to the heretical belief that life began within darkness. Of course, we recognize light as the life bringer. All things began in a brilliant, life-giving burst of light.
A burst of light? That's a common motif in creation stories.
Or in accordance with the Big Bang theory of the universe's creation.
You must expunge the world of the Alphans. This is why I called you here. I know you can accomplish what you need to do with the equipment that is present. Be warned, Visner can be very persuasive. I await your report of success.
I guess we should go and speak to this Visnir character.